smiling when it's through. And if your body's lonely or you shed a heavy tear, remember us all here in lovely May.
Stevie Wonder sang about a ribbon in the sky. If I could snatch it for you, I would tie it in a bow, wrap it around an arrow on a letter sealed and signed, praying when Cupid fires that it hit your love below. I'm waiting in the clouds, partying all alone. I wish that you would join, I even built you a throne. A king is not a king with no queen to support his dreams. So meet me in the slumber, I'll be waiting by the swings on the playground. And if you stay around, I just might do something to make you wanna take down my phone number, girl, so hurry if you wait around. Then I'll be sitting in my room with the same frown. Come on and stay tonight, and we can play until it's daylight. Go grab your cards and we can play life, and win the summer in this May life. Yeah.
Bienvenidos, welcome. Yes, let's make that louder. That's our man, Mike, DJ Mike Phillips on the the production back there.
I can't say yay production.
Yay production.
It's just Mike today.
It's just Mike. But we're going to soldier through without Nick tonight. My name's Ian Taronji. I am your co-host for DC TVD. We're here on another Thursday night, right on time, as always. I'm here with the beautiful, the lovely Miss Michelle Busch.
Good evening, everybody.
Yes,
it's
Michelle.
Good to be back with my boys.
It is good to have you back. It is good to have you back. And as always, my good friend, Mr. Marcus K. Dowling.
Hey, hey.
Marcus with a C.
K. D-O-W-L-I-N-G.
Dowling.
Yes.
We know how to spell around here.
You know, do stuff.
Sometimes.
We've got a pretty well-packed show tonight. We're gonna. I figured this is a good week because
news changes every damn minute.
Oh, because news changes every damn minute, and to be sure, we called an audible at the line of scrimmage tonight.
But we do this every week, though.
We do this. We do
because
this every
clearly,
week.
as we're on our way here, I'm sending a text. And
No, I mean, do we want to start with the first topic?
Well, every week, I feel like every week I sit there and I'm like, okay, this is the week we can sit down and really dig into a topic, really do like a think piece, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, Pruitt resigned. Oh,
yeah.
Okay. All right.
I said that one.
I know.
Like you just said that Pruitt resigned.
Because literally that's how it came up on my phone.
So we called an audible. We're gonna play tonight. We're gonna play. I'm gonna call this game "Count the Silverware."
No.
Yes.
Our favorite Scott Pruitt scandals. The man is a common grifter and got his just rewards today when he was, I suspect, told to step down.
To get out.
But
where did he come from before this? I forgot.
I think he was like Attorney General of Oklahoma or
Yeah.
something.
Okay, yeah.
So
he had a fluff job.
I think my one take on this initially is that we're at this place where we're starting to see like just how small the pool is in the Republican Party and in the conservative ranks for people to hold these positions.
Right.
This is the funny thing. The Democratic Party is full of people who are career politicians and career government employees who can hold these positions.
Democrats can run a government.
Right. You have like if Hillary won, and she wouldn't have had this problem because she has like 37 in a million people who can hold government offices and understand the lay of the land of being like career politicians.
Correct.
The conservatives don't really have that. The Republican Party not exactly up to date with people who are able to hold certain high-level cabinet positions.
Not a pro-government party, so it makes sense that they have people who suck at government.
Right.
And the pool is very small. Like
yes.
I'm feeling like it's no offense to anybody that's lived in a trailer park, but it's that little pool that you would see in the back.
Yeah,
I was gonna say it's like the kiddie pool that like little kids pee in.
That too, honey. I'm a former lifeguard.
Yeah, that could be true. But no, it's just fascinating. Like
Yeah.
his
So-
scandals. That article that you passed around about the scandals is so good.
Yeah.
So good. It's so like prescient.
It's right on. It's right on. Well, I mean, the man has had so many. So we're going to play, a little later on in the show, we're going to play our favorite Scott Pruitt scandal.
Yes.
There's a lot of them. There's the $50 a night condo. There's the
$50
trolling to try to get a
hotel.
Chick-fil-A franchise.
For your wife. I mean, that's the best.
Here, boo, this is for you.
The
Like if we
soundproof
were
phone
married and I
booth.
offered you a Chick-fil-A franchise,
Well, honey.
That's better than a diamond. That's better than a diamond right there.
just say it. That's the gift that keeps on giving, babe.
That's
Chick-fil-A
why,
is
that's why I didn't wear
forever.
my jewelry tonight. I'm waiting on that Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A.
Let me get that. You know what's so funny? I'm not the biggest fan of Chick-fil-A. There's like two things on the menu. I like the waffle fries.
Right.
Love the
But
waffle fries.
Speaking of waffle fries, Kwame Owachi has a new waffle fry recipe down at
Oh, really?
Kith and Kit.
Oh, he does.
We're gonna have to go down there. But
I think that has to happen.
yeah, but then and I like the
How about a live? Can we do a live remote?
We could.
I don't think Kwame has a problem with
No, Kwame would
that.
be good with that. It's love.
What is it's the lemonade, like the
Yeah,
lemonade
the lemonade.
milkshake.
Yeah, like the lemonade, like
I just want to
slushy.
drink.
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
want to pour some liquor in
Yeah.
it. But that's like the only thing I like from Chick-fil-A.
I like their spicy chicken sandwich.
It's really good.
Yeah.
And the Hawaiian sauce is good too.
I like Wendy's chicken sandwich better.
do
But
like-
if you
I do
buy
like
me one,
Wendy's.
boo,
Okay. All right, I got you.
and mine will be open on Sundays for the Baptists. Brunch at my Chick-fil-A.
Bloody Marys.
Yes.
Absolutely.
There it
I love
is.
it.
There
I
it
love
is.
it.
Absolutely.
We're also going to talk tonight about some new potential noise ordinances that could go into effect
Damn new
in DC,
DC.
and that could be some crazy shit, considering that there are noisy events in the District of Columbia that
Yeah.
that
How
should
about
continue.
the Metro?
Yeah.
78 decibels, just doors opening,
Yeah.
doors closing.
Yeah, just under the 80 decibel limit that we're trying to set this up to now, because it
Stop.
was at 55.
Wow.
Yeah. Stop
Wow.
requested.
What a world we live in. And I definitely and I want to do, because last week was seemingly for a lot of like liberals and progressives like a really, really difficult week. And so I really want to kind of talk about the 2018 election that's coming up, sort of a where are we, what is the landscape? What do we think is going to happen? What would we like to see happen? What should happen? And kind of how do we go about sort of instituting some check on the Trump presidency? How much of a referendum on Trump will this election be? I suspect a lot, but we'll get into that. But before we do that, Michelle, we're happy to have you back. And,
Absolutely.
you've got all love here at DC TV. You got all love here at One Love Massive. and
Thank you. Thank
all
you.
over the
Of course,
district.
babe.
All
You
over
know.
the district. We missed you last week.
Thank you. I can't go into, too much detail. Those that know. Those that don't know, I just asked for prayers and positive vibes. I will say this, that I am heartbroken by DC and by the violence, because I am now a victim. And the calls, the text messages, just everything has just been totally wonderful. I'm getting better as my nose is starting to run a little bit. It's going to take some time, and I just have to, continue to fight on. Some people have made sense of a lot of what has happened. I'm not going to take up too much time. And, I am a victim. I will be the victor
Of course.
in all of this. Mama didn't raise no fool.
Boom.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Production not only runs the lights, they hand me tissues. And, conversations with my circle. I have a very tight circle. And I tell people I'm grateful for my circle because they are my family. DC has beat me down, and I continue to fight, and I continue to try to make sense of it all. What has happened to me makes no sense to me. And so I'm still going to run my mouth up here on DC TBD. I am still going to post the things that I post because I want people to know what is going on in this city. But I am going to fight for myself just a little bit harder.
As one should do.
And, just positive vibes. People kept asking me, what can I do for you? What can I send you? What do you want? So I want the expensive drinks, the JRI. So anybody that wants to send me some.
Something with a little Alizé in it.
God, baby, I can't drink that Alizé. I'm on narcotics. Not gonna have me out here.
That's the best time to drink it.
Oh my goodness! I don't even know the last time I even saw some Alizé. But yeah, so I just appreciate everybody around me. And
Well, you got all the positive vibes. You got all the prayers,
It's all
all the good thoughts.
yeah,
Everything right here.
I need all of
here.
that because my days are, the nights are the hardest. The nights are the hardest. So, but anyway, we're just thank you everybody. I really
Well,
appreciate
gotcha.
it.
Good.
And we're gonna roll right into.
Let's roll into it. Let's get into it.
Let's get in it because Scott done pissed some people off today. They said his resignation letter was one for the books.
Yeah,
I mean-
it is. It is. Well, all right, let's jumble it around. Let's start with Scott Pruitt,
Yeah.
our now former EPA administrator, who is basically the head of the EPA.
I feel like I'm at
Decided-
Macumbo's lounge
Yeah.
when the
No.
the
We need a
lights
little-
over
I love it. I love it.
and the
We need a
low
light that spins.
and the low ceiling. For
You guys thought about a disco ball right here, Mike?
Oh my God, Mike is not paying us
I
any
know.
attention.
Mike's busy, but yeah. So
Mike is making me pretty on screen.
no. So I mean, let's definitely
Scott
let's
Pruitt.
get into it. Yeah.
All right, let's play Count the Silverware.
honey.
All right, Michelle, your favorite Scott Pruitt scandal?
Definitely the 55. I was going to say the $55 motel.
$55 motel.
The $50
A night.
a night rental.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, we know that senators and congressmen, like, we know they're literally piled up. What was the show that came on Amazon? I don't even know if they did like 2 seasons. Alpha House,
Right.
Oh,
where
yeah.
it was John Goodman and
Yeah.
and I mean, these guys it was 4 of them living in this one townhouse on Capitol Hill.
Yeah.
And so you just mean to tell me it's just like, did you know this person? Did they just say, hey, let's just charge off the books $50 a night?
Just to have something nominally on the books.
So I think
Well,
that's going to be the new T-shirt, the
I feel
Scott Pruitt.
I feel like you're burying the lead on that because his landlord,
Right.
the $50 a night condo, is an energy lobbyist.
Correct.
Right. I mean, but that's
An energy lobbyist who's basically giving him free lodging
To
in the
to
district.
vote in my way to make sure my pockets are laced
I mean,
and
this is-
yours are going to be laced too.
I mean, you know what word I'm going to say.
Collusion.
There it is. Right. I mean, that's all it is. Like
It's so good to be
the
back.
level of corruption in the Trump administration has reached
It's staggering.
another high.
It's
Like you
staggering.
didn't think it could get any higher than it was 6 days ago.
Yeah.
Please.
When we
This
were,
is every
just
day.
like willfully, like, we were just willfully saying that, like immigrants can't, come across the border. And we were just going to separate, children from their parents.
Yeah.
We thought that was a pretty bad level of, like, just abject corruption. Now we've hit, the guy just has $50 a night rooms just available to Capitol Hill.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys saw, I presume you saw the video of the woman with her child.
I think I was the first to post it. Thank you very much.
Who went up to him I think he was at Teaism in Penn.
Yes, he
He
was.
was at Teaism.
and she was like, I'm here with my son, and he loves bunny rabbits and outdoors, and he thinks you should resign.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like... Like what kind of a nation do
wow.
we live in right now? I mean, for me,
And her husband's recording it, and he's just sitting there. And I think he realizes he's on video. He can't really say anything. He can't argue with this woman. And so he just sits there and looks her in
Well,
the
I
face
mean,
while she's telling him, your scandals are going to drive you out. You're going to be out of a job.
Well,
You're
this
going
is
to be
gonna be-
homeless living under a bridge. Why are you?
That was good. That was good. That was good. But out of all, do we think this is the best one? Out of all the videos, Betsy DeVos trying to get into the school down in Southwest, and they block the back door.
Of course, it's
Scott Pruitt at Teaism.
Right.
What's her name
Kirsten
down at
Nielsen at
Kristen Nielsen down the street.
MXDC.
Right.
Yes. Yes.
So I mean,
I think that's my favorite one. I think that's my favorite.
I mean,
she got shunned.
They ran her up out of there. Like,
and then Sarah Huckabee Sanders.
Yeah.
Just basically
at Red Hen.
Be like,
at Red Hen.
Just go.
Oh, that was the best Twitter feed because Red Hen D.C.
Right. It's like we're not the same.
We're not the same. Like went in on it.
It's wild. So I mean, for me, it was the Chick-fil-A because the Chick-fil-A is just so ridiculous. It's like, okay, so let's
get it out there. Get my wife a Chick-fil-A franchise. That's
so
he angled try to get a Chick-fil-A franchise.
Here's the problem with like bringing like Oklahoma new money to Capitol Hill. That's all this is. This is like a level of like the Beverly Hillbillies that's happening right now.
That is a new regime right there.
Right. Like that's what it is. It's the Beverly Hillbillies. This is what we're dealing with. Oklahoma new money.
New money.
Like, he's like, hey, I got some money, I got influence, and I know
Hillbilly style.
Right. I know the head of Chick-fil-A. I just got his card. So I'm going to give him a call and say, hey, brother, just met you.
Here's my resume.
And we have not been drinking, everybody.
No, this is really what's going on.
This is from Calabash.
Like, this is real. Like,
here's my resume in PDF.
Right. That's what's going on. Like
the White House knows about some PDFs right now.
Yeah, it's Oklahoma new money. This is the Beverly Hillbillies level of politics. That
I
want to
know where this guy sits at the OKC games.
Oh, he's ready. He's ready to have court.
I'm sure.
Is he half court or is he hiding up in the?
No, he's half
energy
court.
money is paying for nice.
He's
seats.
half court, like 5 rows up.
Yeah.
With the special delivery to the seat. Like he's good.
Are we sure he's not in a box somewhere?
No. He's got to be on the floor. You got to be on the floor. You got to be on the floor. You got to get those seats.
So my favorite, I actually have two that are favorites of mine. The $43,000 soundproof phone booth.
Well,
because when you say the EPA administrator has purchased a $43,000 soundproof phone booth for his office, what everybody immediately thinks is $43,000. My God, the word that hits me is soundproof. What is he hiding? What is he trying to hide by speaking in a soundproof? Does he think that his office is bugged?
He knows his office is bugged.
Hello, this is the Trump administration.
You know going in that your office is bugged. This is, again, Watergate.
So and then the second one is
his office is bugged.
He had to fly first class because he felt like he got yelled at too much when he was flying coach by the riffraff who told him you should maybe enforce clean air and clean water standards instead of rolling them back. And he did not like having to defend himself among the riffraff in coach. So he had the government start paying for his first class.
I'm thinking that the major issue there is that like you're dealing so like my major issue with Scott Pruitt is climate change is the most frightening issue facing the world right now. Like we are boiling in our
everything is melting.
We are boiling in our flesh suits right now. That is actually happening in the world. It was 111 degrees with the air quality being what it was yesterday on the 4th of July when everybody is walking about the universe.
I was not.
It was 111 degrees. There were 5-year-old kids walking around in downtown D.C. that I saw with my own 2 eyes, and it's 111 degrees outside.
Yeah.
Like it was nothing to them. They're kids.
Yeah, like let's like you think about that, and then Scott Pruitt's got a $43,000 like soundproof booth in his office,
and he's living on Capitol Hill for
$50 a day. And we're boiling in our flesh suits. That's happening.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. It's funny to talk about a lot of the scandals. Some of the others, he was lying about threats to himself in order to get security. He was trying to figure. He had aides try to figure out how they could finagle a government-funded trip to Morocco. He tried to get a $200,000 job for his wife. But here's the one that kind of just came out within the last couple of days, and actually, aside from all of the ethical lapses, let's just say, of the Pruitt administration.
just
This is
trying
actually
to-
one. This is actually one that could be illegal because we have a EPA whistleblower who indicated that there is that there are secret calendars, that they scrub meetings that quote look bad,
Of course.
and that is
That ain't just on the federal level.
well, but
Oops.
that's but at
No.
the federal level, that's a violation of the Federal Open Meetings Act, and
I mean,
you
that
know.
that gets to Hillary and the emails and having separate
Yeah.
servers and all
Yeah.
that stuff. Like
I mean, look, at the end of the day, this is a guy who gutted the EPA. He gave free reign to
That was
polluters.
his job.
That's his job. It's his job. Yeah, that is his job. But but I think the issue that I have most with him is he's just like a common penny ante grifter. I mean, if
I
this
mean,
guy
but-
if this
But
guy
he was
just
hired by Trump.
but who are you gonna? Okay, so
the
but this
pool,
is
the pool is real shallow.
Right.
the pool is really we've established the pool is very
Okay,
shallow and it has
you
been
don't
well
have-
and it has been peed in a
has
lot.
been
I
peed
just
in.
want to point this out. This is something I was thinking about earlier today because I was as I tend to do. I was watching YouTube this time,
Oh,
not as opposed to watching Hulu or Netflix. I was
Netflix.
watching YouTube,
I was on
like
Netflix.
Kanye and Kim. I was watching YouTube. I was sitting in my bed. That's what I was doing.
Yeah.
And I was looking at a documentary about Newt Gingrich,
Oh Lord.
My man,
who by comparison
who had a black
to
secretary.
these people is Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah.
Like, and that's crazy to believe, but
Yeah, it's true.
by comparison to this level of Republican, just this fuckery that's happening, for lack of a better term, a guy like Newt Gingrich, literally Abraham Lincoln-esque in his level of political know-how and his ability to just excel at his job.
Well, yeah.
No, but let's think about it. Like,
He was forced out as speaker because, he fucked up.
right, but initially, and when he
Yeah.
initially had the job, and
No, he engineered the '94 Republican takeover
Mm-hmm.
in Bill Clinton's first midterm.
right,
But I kind of see Newt Gingrich from a government standpoint as sort of like the patient zero of right-wing talk radio governing our country. I mean, sort of like the norms began to be broken right there. It was sort of patient zero for what our politics has become and has continued to deteriorate, really. Like, people always talk about, politics is so awful in the Trump era. The Republicans are so awful. And I'm like, did you forget how they were when Obama was president? And then when Obama was president, they're like, oh, my God, these Republicans, they're so racist. They're so crazy. They're so crazy. Like,
But
they've always been
they've
this
always
way.
been like that.
well, no, they weren't always this way. They were not always this way because they weren't. I mean, pretty much when Bill Clinton got elected, all of a sudden I think that just drove the right wing in this country crazy. And I think you also saw, coincident with Bill Clinton being elected, you saw the rise of right-wing media, which I think has had a particularly corrosive effect on the Republican Party
Because it was hidden.
and its inability to govern. I mean, this is actually a good segue to get into the 2018.
yeah, it's actually a
midterms.
perfect segue.
Because the subtext of any discussion of major national elections is Democrat v. Republican, and right now that's a one-sided ass kicking, right? Is what it
It
looks
is,
like.
but it isn't. But I mean, okay. So things that people should be embarrassed to know about me. I watch Alex Jones at least 3 times a week.
What's embarrassing about
Wow.
that?
Because
that is embarrassing.
Alex Jones because Alex Jones
That is embarrassing.
has found a way to be more banal than Rush Limbaugh could have ever been.
Wow.
You like Alex Jones because you like wrestling. He is.
Yes.
He is a political pundit as wrestler.
Yes, there's something about him
He
that
even has like a wrestler voice.
yeah, exactly right. So I feel like we're at a place right now where the Republican Party is run by charlatans, like literal charlatans,
literal charlatans.
like not non-politicians. And
Yeah.
here's the thing: the non-politician was the person elected by the great majority of the Republican Party.
Yeah.
So we've officially reached this point where we have not found a middle ground, but instead we have 2 very separate camps who are now just attempting to scramble around. And this is the crazy part, because this is my thought about 2018, leading into 2020. They are scrambling around trying to get poor people to vote for policy issues that are directly related to them.
Mm-hmm.
So drug addiction,
Yes.
poverty,
Mm-hmm.
welfare, job creation, and not like high-level job creation, but like low-level job creation.
Yeah.
Just get me in at a basic level doing basic work.
Right, and that's where we're headed. And it's frightening to think about a midterm election that's literally based around just like prostituting the votes of poor Americans.
But the thing about it is, who is really talking about the midterm election? We're talking about it. The news is touching on it.
I'll put it like this: the problem with the Democrats is that the Democrats are a level or two in perception
I'm sick of the DNC.
above the people that they need to actually grab. Like if you're like Kamala Harris, right? She's gonna get she's gonna be literally touring the country. She's gonna be touring the country more than like Janet Jackson.
Yeah.
In the midterm election season, she has to go out, and she's positioned as this very intelligent, bright, upper class level of presentation woman who's going to be going into the hood.
So she's going to have a meeting at the Arc on Mississippi Avenue.
Oh, of course.
I'd like to see it.
And that's going to be awkward.
I'd like to see it.
It's going to be awkward.
Because that's where I am right now. Like, all the power to you and everything there, but like how are you going to get into the hearts of the people? People are not voting, and we clearly see that by the numbers from this primary. So you mean to tell me the midterm election, if you don't care about your own primary, how are you going to care about a midterm election? Most people don't even realize it is a midterm election.
Right.
Because they have desensitized themselves saying, I'm so tired of turning on the news and hearing about Trump, they turn it off.
Right.
Yeah,
and
there's definitely a lot.
And you're going to tell me she's going to come to D.C. or she's going to go to Maryland or she's not going to be at Eddie Leonard's ordering a steak and cheese.
I mean, she has to.
She better.
It's going to be fascinating to watch because the problem with the DNC is that
there's many, and we may not have enough time.
No, I know, but I think that the biggest one is that there was a value placed on education and perception more so than human touch.
The DNC lost me in 2008 after Barack was voted in.
Because
they went to sleep.
There was no follow-up by the white majority.
At all. Y'all have
DNC.
a good one. Thank you for a great election. And they let everybody go back to Oklahoma and everywhere else.
I'll say this. The white majority in the DNC saw Barack as the president, and they put all of the onus on him because he's such a charismatic figure that there's not like a white person they could have thought of or a white politician they could have thought of to pair next to him and say, just follow him around. Just stand next to him. It wasn't Uncle Joe. They needed like another person.
Who's that young boy Kennedy?
He would have been the one. You stand him next to him.
And now he's not.
Right, because he didn't stand next to Barack for 8 years. They needed a guy to stand next to him and say, okay, this is the surrogate for after Barack is not the president.
The next generation.
Right, and they never did that.
So let's...
And then they, ex post facto, they tried to elect every single black politician they could wrangle up and throw them against the wall and say, they look like Barack, they could be Barack, but
they ain't Barack.
They're not Barack. Right?
Cory Booker is not Barack. I just want to go on record. I believe, and I say this as an attorney, this should be a Latin-free zone, like ex post facto.
I'm over here drinking the rest of my kombucha.
I mean, I frustrate myself.
So
we frustrate
nationwide,
not each other, but we all frustrate ourselves because we all feel a certain type of way in regards to a party that, and since we either were raised to believe in or we want to believe in, I don't believe in either.
I want to believe.
I don't believe in either. To me, the GOP, they're not stepping up saying, look, you're wrong. Okay. The DNC is just like, well, we're going to try to find somebody that's Trump-esque and maybe we'll win.
All right. Well, let's take off the opinion hat and put on the analyst hat. Every House seat, and I'm talking about the national elections. Every House seat, all 435 are up for grabs.
Yes.
A third of the Senate is up for grabs, and it looks particularly bad for Democrats. Democrats are definitely playing defense. Right now, we've got to believe it's a 51-49 situation in the Senate. Dems, I believe, need 24 seats to win the House. We've probably got I mean, just based on some of the Democrat performance in special elections in 2017 and how much better they did over sort of the 2016 baseline, we've got 25 to 30 to maybe even 40 seats that are, sort of like, Trump plus 10. I mean, when a Democrat is overperforming his 2016 by 20 points, a Trump plus 10
I think we'll
district
get the House.
is potential. Yeah.
I'm going to tell you the smoking gun, silver bullet that nobody talks about.
Okay, here it goes.
It's Melania Trump.
Ooh.
Because you could send her
Do tell.
around.
And there's silence because I don't even know where to go with that.
You could send Melania around. She hasn't said a word.
That we can understand.
She can be a housewife. She can be a supermodel. She can be a plain-spoken American because she barely speaks the language. And I'm being honest. She can be all of those things. And in certain markets, she's the coolest thing that has ever happened in whatever city she comes to.
You might as well put Kim Kardashian up there.
I'm just saying.
So, all right. So you think Melania is going to go to diners in Iowa?
100%.
She's going to have the chicken fried steak.
100%. With a big old smile on her face.
Jesus.
I've never had the steak before.
It's so delicious.
It's so good.
They
What
call
do
it
you call
steak.
this?
I like your food. I like you people. Donald, my husband who runs the country, likes you too.
No offense to any Slovenians out there.
I'm just saying, like,
send your hate mail.
That's where we're going with this.
Send your Slovenian
what
hate mail to
what
Marcus at
Just saying, that's where we're going
Like
with this.
what jacket is she gonna wear
I
on the
know.
campaign trail?
Right. I mean,
because
but-
I'm still trying to understand the jacket that she wore.
She doesn't care.
I really don't eat. Do you?
I mean, that's where that's the level of simplicity that because Donald Trump is not a Republican. He is a Republican by party affiliation for
That is
purposes
it.
of
That
getting
is
elected
it.
only.
Yeah.
But for this midterm election, and he knows the numbers. Like he plays the numbers game. Like he's not trying to play the I want to win, I want the party to succeed
Because
game.
Fox told him what the numbers were.
Exactly right. So he's just playing the numbers game. So he's going to strategically find elections where the Republicans can win.
That's what he's doing.
Yeah.
And you send out the Melanias of the world. You send out. You can find a Newt Gingrich. You can find
What about
Rudy,
Ivanka?
Rudy Giuliani, Ivanka, right? Jared Kushner.
Junior was up today. I saw him talking.
Rudy Giuliani
Oh, Rudy.
is there
Oh
as
my
well, and he can go into veterans administration hospitals
Jesus.
and say,
Listen, Trump
"Remember
has
9/11."
Trump has a virtual Adams family that he can send out on the road at any given
He
moment.
probably does have a hand that
No,
just.
but it's a murderer's row of like
Dipshits.
of like Americana Americana dipshittery.
That's our there's our actually
That's our other
That's the
word.
name of our show.
Dipshittery.
We're no
it is.
longer DC
It's
TBD.
Americana dipshittery.
Americana dipshittery.
Oh God.
Yes. Leave us a positive review on iTunes.
Or YouTube.
I just want to see Rudy in the VA hospital.
That's not
Oh,
going to be
man.
good.
I don't wanna
Somebody's
see-
going to take off one of their limbs. And
Unless-
I'm sorry.
Shaking
And-
hands.
I don't want to see Rudy anywhere. Let's get on record.
Yeah,
Okay,
of
Democrats
course.
need 24 seats in the House.
Yes.
Marcus, how many seats do you think the Democrats win in November?
Like 17?
17, so not
No.
quite taking,
No.
just short of a majority.
No.
Okay, Michelle, how many seats do you think they need? 23 or 24 to take the majority?
I think we're going to take it.
So more than 24.
Yeah,
24 or more.
It's going to be very close. What we have seen in the numbers and what we've seen recently, there have been some shifts.
There have.
There have been, but I'm not sure if there's going to be enough shifts. But I think that we'll take it. We'll come close or we'll take it.
Yeah. I think they're going to take it. I think Democrats are going to probably win 35 to 40 seats in November. I think that there is so much anti-Trump antipathy out there. I think this is voters' first opportunity to sort of lodge their official complaint
Telling you, man.
against the Trump presidency.
Telling you.
But they gotta come out and do it.
You don't want to
Yeah.
see the level of padding at the polls
Ooh.
that the Republican Party will pull out by finding every single welfare roll person in all of these districts who hasn't voted in like 4 elections. They haven't voted since like that time that they tried to vote Bill out. They haven't voted since.
Oh my!
They ain't even come together like that.
All right.
I'm just saying, like that's my take on it because
So you say 17 seats.
I say
You
17.
say what? 25, 26.
23, 24.
I'm going to say 35. So they
Okay.
take the House.
All right.
And
So one cheap bottle of Sutter Home for the winner.
Yeah,
I'm down.
that's our bet. That's our bet. Cheap
There it
bottle.
is.
Cheap bottle of Sutter Home. White Zin.
Oh my God.
And then the Senate. So the Senate right now is 51-49. Marcus? What do you think the Senate will be in January of 2019?
How many seats are up? Are we at?
A third of the Senate. So
Okay,
like
so
33 to 35.
I'm gonna say we're looking at like 58, 42.
So GOP
For GOP?
expands. GOP expands their
Yes.
majority. 58.
But it's not.
42.
But it's not. Okay, I'll say this about this. I was thinking about this earlier.
So they'll pick
today.
up. Do you think GOP is going to pick up 7 seats?
I totally see them picking up 7 seats.
All right. So you think on election
But I'm
night?
saying-
On election night, Democrats don't take the House, and
Yeah.
and become even more of a minority.
Okay, I'm saying
this is a calamity for the
no.
Democrats.
I'm
you're
saying this
predicting.
if only because it's not going to be a pretty election.
No, it's
this
not.
is going to be like levels of skullduggery by the Republican Party, the likes of which haven't been seen in American politics since like the 1930s.
Yep.
This is like
It's going to be ugly.
this is like Tammany Hall level like corruption.
Especially now that
happening.
they've discovered they're inner racist.
Right.
Like it used to be dog whistle. Now they can just boom, 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 boom,
Yeah.
boom.
No, like literally, like literal
bullhorn
posting.
it. They can bullhorn
posting
it.
the picture of Cory Booker and saying, "Do you want people like him
Right.
in Congress?"
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. No. I.
You know, like
yeah.
because you could do that now. I mean, there's a level that will be reached in the midterm election because
Poor Corey.
Trump and his cronies know
Yeah.
that this is the one.
That's
Because
actually
they
that-
could have jobs for 25 years.
That is a potentially very prescient Senate pick because so it's 2018. Senate seats are 6 years each. So
Yeah.
so the people who are up now were the same people who were elected in 2012. 2012 election was Barack Obama being reelected, and he functioned even though it was a slightly smaller victory in the Electoral College for President Obama, it was still functionally a landslide. It was over 300
Right.
electoral votes.
But
it was a
and
big
everyone who got
Democratic
elected
turnout.
in 2012 was a rubber stamp.
Right.
Right.
So there's definitely more Democratic seats on the line in traditional Republican states. Guys like John Tester in Montana, Heidi Heitkamp in North Dakota, I
Yes.
believe, Claire McCaskill in Missouri.
Missouri.
Missouri. I think they actually do say Missouri in Missouri, but whatever. There's one more. Joe Manchin in West Virginia.
Right.
I mean, these are all states that Trump won fairly comfortably
Oh yeah.
just 2 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Are pretty deep red states. Missouri supposedly is purpling.
Yeah, that's
a
what I was
little,
hearing.
But it's still pretty red. I mean, it's
Yeah.
purpling the way Virginia is purpling. Like Virginia's a blue state.
Yeah, there's a. But
Actually, it's not a state. It's a commonwealth.
But I want people to understand, and I want people to actively begin to look at, and you find this data online. Like it's like readily available data. Look at the amounts of welfare recipients in some of these battleground states. Look at the amount of people who are at or below the poverty line in these battleground states, because these are the people who will determine these elections.
Yeah. Yeah.
People with college degrees, people with blue collar jobs, people with established entrepreneurial positions, people who run your general store. These are not the people that are in any way responsible for who's getting elected.
Right.
It's people who are at or below the poverty line.
No doubt. No doubt. Yeah. And I think that the Democrat strategy, Democrats typically have every candidate has to be the right candidate for that district. And if that means you're a pro-life Democrat, well, then you're a pro-life Democrat.
Right.
But I do think that the sort of Overton window within the Democratic Party is shifting to the left. I feel like the gravity of the party is pulling it left. I think Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is a vision of the Democratic Party's future, not as so much as sort of like an anomaly of like a very liberal district. I think that is the future. I think that we have a generation coming up. You know, I mean, I age myself all the time. Reagan was president when I grew up. I mean, you know, I sort of grew up in sort of the post-golden age of capitalism, where we began to break down all the regulations, all of the speed bumps on capitalism, and just kind of let it go wild. And we're sort of in, I'd like to think that maybe the Trump presidency might be the death throes of the Reagan economic era, and that we have a young generation coming up right now who they look around, they say, what has capitalism done for me? There's no jobs for me. No. You know, when I was growing up in the 80s and 90s, you could skip college and you could still have a middle class lifestyle.
Oh, yeah.
It's literally not happening
That
now.
doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, I wanted
that
to ask
does
you,
not
Ian,
exist anymore.
Ian, as my dyed-in-the-wool Democratic friend, as I said last week. Question. So, do you think that the Democratic Party is big enough to handle a split right down the middle?
Well, it depends what you mean by a split. I mean,
because
what do you mean? What do you mean by
the Elizabeth Warren, Hillary Clinton disciple? Because there's still so many of them.
Right.
Cory Booker being on that side, Kamala Harris being on that side. Do you think that they could handle the Alexandria, Ocasio-Cortez side?
I'm gonna let them keep saying her name.
Developing, because there's a socialist piece that is now evident and prevalent within the Democratic Party that is diametrically opposed on numerous key issues
to the
Democratic establishment. Do you think the Democratic Party is big enough and strong enough to handle that? Because that's the real issue.
It better be. It better be, because that's the future. Like I said, you have an entire generation coming up that have
because they saw
economically are doing worse than generations that came before them, worse than their parents' generation. And I think that they're looking around and they're saying, what has globalism brought me besides cheap electronics? What has capitalism gotten me? You know, I still don't have a job. I still have $250,000 in student debt, and I don't have I'm bartending and waitressing, and my student loans are still coming due. I can't buy a house. I can't save for retirement. I can't go on vacation. I mean, I think that's like a very real thing. And I would love for the Democratic Party to be, look, we are your party. We're your natural home. If you earn a paycheck every week, if you collect tips at the end of the night and cash out, we're your party. Like, I would love for the Democrats to be that, but I don't. They're not that now.
Right.
But I think that they have to be at some point. They have to be nimble enough, and it probably means getting rid of all the old leadership.
Do you think
Schumer,
they know
gone,
that they need to be
Pelosi.
that way? Or are they just still stuck in their ways?
The Cortez election was crazy in the sense that they thought that they had put Bernie in a corner. Like, they put the old man
Bernie
in the corner.
Dirty dancing.
Right, of course.
You're not putting baby in the corner.
So they thought they had put him in the corner. He's gone. So he's the only, and a lot of Democrats might feel like he's the only socialist that exists in the entire party. Like, okay, it's him and the guy from Maine. Like
Angus King.
Yeah, Angus King. There are only two. There's not a whole like underbelly of
there's more
young 20-somethings who are in the Democratic Party who are thinking that socialism is the way. Then all of a sudden this random woman just pops up.
She's not random, by the way. I was onto her. I heard an interview with her on the Intercept podcast probably about a month ago, and I went and found her on Facebook. I liked her page, so I've been following her.
That's awesome.
And I was.
But I feel like for so many, she came out of
nowhere. For a lot of people, she came out of nowhere. That's for sure. For a
And
lot of people, she came out of nowhere.
And here's my thinking about the Republicans in response to this, because they see this. It's like you have to be blind now. Like
Right.
even Ray Charles knows that there's like a clear schism in the Democratic Party.
By the way, blindness is the least of Ray Charles's problems right now.
So that's what I mean. Like anybody can tell that there's a clear issue. So my thinking is the Republican Party can now just look at this and go, okay, so you're thinking about who you want to vote for? You could, like you could tell a poor person, hey, do you want to be a socialist?
You don't even know what a socialist is.
Right, like big devil horn pops up out of the ground.
Yeah.
As soon as you say it's still, like we're still in McCarthyism still isn't dead.
They're piggybacking off somebody else's Netflix, and they're just watching Luke Cage. They're
Right.
not watching the stuff that we watch.
No, of course.
I'm gonna tell somebody who's poor what a socialist
So
is.
then on top of it, and then they say, hey, or you could vote for somebody that likes Hillary.
And every time you
And
say
Nancy
Hillary,
Pelosi.
Right.
do they even know who Nancy Pelosi is?
No.
Yeah.
But when you say Hillary, you think Bill Clinton.
Right, and then you say, okay, or you could vote for Donald Trump,
Mm-hmm.
some other, person, may or may not be a, Grammy Award-winning rapper, whatever, or any great number of people on the Republican slate in 2018, who, by comparison to Hillary, dirty socialists, or people who could appear to be ineffectual
Yeah.
in the last 6 years. Or you could just vote for this brand new slate of people, because what I think the Republican Party is going to do is they're going to put a slate of people out there going to be so benign,
They're just
like the Scott Pruitts of the world, who if you didn't know was like a horrible grifter and a terrible human being who really likes Chick-fil-A, you would just be like, oh, this is just a man from Oklahoma,
yeah, look at his smile.
a generic, benign, bland human.
Yeah.
Very, very well.
And they win by default that way, and it's not a win that's like beautiful, and you're like,
No.
look at all these genius politicians.
You just said how I feel. Everything that's going to happen in November is going to be, to me, is literally going to be by default. I just feel like it's just going to be, oh, okay, here's your winner. We're not going to see anything that's going to be like, oh my God, they pulled it out. No, by default. I don't feel there's any enthusiasm from the GOP, the DNC, the candidates that are out there now. We do have some favorites.
Oh, absolutely.
And we've talked about them, but I think everything's literally.
But the GOP running the most like milquetoast, like by the book, party platform campaign, and then the Democrats have to figure out, in order to get these numbers that you want them to get. Like, I love the fact that you believe that they're going to get 40 seats in the 35 seats in the House of Representatives.
We're going to be drinking Sutter Home.
I'm intrigued by this, because the only way that they do this is by creating a logical middle ground. If shown by a handshake between a socialist and an establishment person.
Yeah.
And that's all you need. And there's ways to do that involve giant checks that look like golf, golf tournament checks.
Big checks.
Yeah.
Big checks.
Right. It's like, hi, we just gave money to the Socialist Party. Now we're going to shake hands. Vote Democratic.
There needs to be like an Atlanta trap song called Golf Checks.
We could work on that.
We could do that. We could do that. That's a thing.
DJ Mike Phillips, can you give us like a trap beat?
I'm trying to go. What was my name? God, I can't even think of his name. With all the Trinidad James.
Yes. All gold everything.
All gold everything. Gold all in my chain.
Oh my goodness.
That's what I'm trying to go.
Golf all in my check.
I feel like the Dems. I feel like there is some enthusiasm on the Democratic side because Trump is so historically awful. Last time that the Democrats did well in a midterm was 2006, when people were just really starting to get pissed off with George W. Bush and the Iraq War and everything around that presidency. And I feel I feel like we're seeing that same level of anger, and anger is really kind of what drives midterm elections.
I want to say half a second on the fact that Donald Trump has instigated a war that doesn't involve anybody having to die.
Correct.
The trade war is brilliant. He's like, we're going to go to war. There's a war that absolutely has to happen during my presidency because I'm literally dividing the entire world against itself.
I'm a wartime president.
Right. But he decided that it's going to be a trade war where we're just going to trade stocks and bonds and shake sabers at each other. It's astounding. We're in the middle of, like, honestly, I don't know. Like, I don't mean to hijack the show.
USA.
But we're in the middle of World War III.
Yes. Trade war style.
It's a trade war, but it's World War III. The entire world is at stake in this battle. And Brexit is involved, and there's like the Asian community, the entire Asian community is involved. America is involved. North America is involved. The Canadians, our neighbors to the north, are directly polar opposite against us. It's astounding to me. Brazil is somehow involved in all of this because they're like, facing being a third world country with first world, problems.
Oil.
Yeah.
Oil.
It's astounding. Like, I just wanted to bring that up because it hit me this morning and I was like, oh my God, it's World War III, but nobody's stopping to say anything because nobody's dying. There's no
no
dying, no bombs, no missiles.
Well, see, the problem is we are dying.
I mean, we are, but I mean,
yeah,
that's,
but we're not saying, trade is not saying, oh, because of the trade war and the war that we're in that made that cop over there shoot that boy. And
no, it's astounding, but we're at war. I want people to understand that this is a wartime situation that we're in.
But
we're at war within them. What was that stupid article that came out? Was it last week? It had to be last week. Y'all know I'm off by a couple of weeks.
It's all good.
That was about dating in D.C.
Yes.
If you, because I know I posted it.
Trump staffers can't get laid.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. I mean, like, literally, that's how that's just how I feel about.
Yeah, we're at war.
It's the incel White House.
Yeah,
incel.
Diet Cokes for sale.
Well, let me say this, and we've talked about this, and this may be tangential to the 2018 thing, but your point about it being a world war, trade has been a moderating and peacekeeping force in the post-World War II era.
Literally not anymore.
You have
because he messed it all up.
What political scientists call the Bretton Woods sort of global order, which sort of what the leaders and economic leaders of all of the the major Western economies kind of came together after World War II and sort of set up this global order where the dollar is the reserve currency globally for any type of international transactions, which keeps the dollar from wild fluctuations of currencies that we see in other countries. And it has been a peacekeeping force. This, along with the European Union. I mean, if you look at Europe over the last 1,000 years, are we in the longest period of non-state war on the European continent since 1945?
There's 11 months left of that before Brexit goes into effect.
Yeah.
There's like 11 months left.
And you know who's behind all of this breakup? It's not Donald Trump.
It's Theresa May.
It's Vladimir Putin.
Oh, well, Putin, obviously.
His boo.
It's Vladimir Putin, because Russians did in Great Britain the same thing that they did here, which was to try to radicalize the sides, to drive up enthusiasm. They got the UK, a pillar of the European continent, one of the
the most important piece of the EU.
They're like the Real Madrid or the Barcelona
of the EU.
And they just they're piecing out. I mean, obviously they're having trouble getting it to fruition because they want all of the benefits of
still
EU
being
membership.
In the EU.
Is this breaking news? But a former coal lobbyist is the new leader of the EPA.
Oh yes, that's Andrew Wheeler.
Wheeler, yeah,
of course,
former coal lobbyist and climate change denier. But that's why I couldn't get excited. I couldn't get too excited about Scott Pruitt stepping down because in our Trump world here, it's okay, so this awful person is gone, but now some other awful person
No, okay.
is going to step
so
right in.
I want people to understand that everything from 2018 to 2020 is going to be like there's a gif of the Ultimate Warrior screaming into a camera. That is what I think of like America post the midterm election.
Yeah.
Just this wild-haired man with face paint, looks like he's like coked out of his mind,
Right.
just screaming into a camera. Like,
Yes. And
I can't understand what is happening
his
right
name
now.
his name is Alex Jones.
I'm afraid. I'm afraid.
It's where we're headed. I mean, it's going to be fascinating. I wanna see if the Democrats fail to get any sort of like mandate through this midterm election.
If they have a calamity.
Right. How they bounce back. Because there's ways to bounce back. Because Donald Trump is still the president. So there's still ways to like manipulate people.
If they lose in November, if they can't take back at least the House, listen, a dead cat will bounce.
Right.
Not very high.
Not very
Right.
high.
That's the Democrats.
But I'm just saying, like,
if they can't,
there's still the biggest thing to think about. People don't think about it enough. Is that the president of the United States is someone who is functionally unable to do the job.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
We have proven this. We have proven this without a shadow of doubt in 500 days.
Right.
The man does not know how to do the job at all.
He hasn't been able to do many jobs.
Right. So ideally, the situation is you have to explain to people, and it's possible to do, the historical notion of people who have appeared to not be able to do the job, who have still achieved great things.
Mm-hmm.
And note that Donald Trump is not these guys. Like, he's not Ronald Reagan.
No, he's not.
He's not Gerald Ford.
Hey, I like President Ford.
Like, he's not any of these people that, people look at and go, that guy had no idea what he was doing. By comparison, this guy is, like, literally, like, a step below.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So if you show people that, and then you stand somebody up and say, this person meets all of these requirements and also has a human touch, you can functionally save the party. I mean, ultimately, you're looking for another savior. And I don't know who that person is, but they need
Right.
to be finding this person.
Right.
They should have found him already.
Right.
We're a little late.
Yeah,
So-
that's the only recourse for 2020.
So, Michelle, I don't think we got your prediction on the Senate. It currently sits at 51-49. We've got about 33 to 35 seats up. Most of them, like I said, they were people who were elected in 2012 when the Democrats had a big year. Barack Obama was reelected. So you've got a lot of red state Democrats who are on the ballot this year. It's 51-49. What do you think it's going to be in January of 2019?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna stick with we're gonna take the House.
Yeah, all right.
I just
Barely.
don't. If we do, congratulations.
It would take a
please,
huge.
Please do something with it.
It would
'Cause
take a huge
that's
wave.
that's my problem. We'll get it just like we did in 2008. We got it,
Yeah.
and then we lost it.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. I if it's split, it's split.
Yeah,
If
I suspect it's probably going to be like 53.
I wish I could. I wish I had
53,
a
47.
little bit more commentary on that. But like I said earlier, I'm just not in a place that I believe
Yeah.
that we can stand up and do it.
Yeah, I want to see it.
I think that a lot of the Republicans that are out there that have stepped up and said, "Oh yeah, well I'm gonna run again." The new folks, I just think that people are still going with Donald Trump is a great president. What he has done in his past was before he was president, and that was personal. He knows how to run a business. He's running our country, and I think people are still going to go with that. And
Yeah.
they're going to they're diehard GOPs. This is my party. This is who I'm voting for, and we don't know what the Democrats are going to do.
So when do you find Barack, and when do you ask him to put
Barack
to
is.
throw his weight behind?
They've asked him.
I mean, he's not going to do it.
But let me. I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, no problem.
Barack was great at getting Barack Obama elected.
Of course he
Correct.
was.
He was not so great
With getting
at getting anybody else elected.
Right.
He couldn't get Hillary elected. He lost. Democrats lost seats in each of his midterms.
Right.
He won a landslide in 2008. He won another
But
landslide
Who else?
in
because
2012.
Barack people
Obama
were
was
focused on Barack.
Who else
Right.
is going to do the work for the party?
You know what? McCain may have to cross lines.
I mean, this is getting to like NBA free agency levels of understing who is
McCain-
going to like.
I
McCain
mean-
is convalescing. I mean, he's
Come
not.
over to
McCain's
the-
not doing anything.
He's not
the
doing
Democratic
anything.
Party.
But I mean, we're going to have some people that are going to come across the
No.
lines. So my question with all of this are the GOPs that are stepping down, the Paul Ryans of the world and everybody else, are they going to back?
Paul's the guy who could get the jump. I think.
It's in him.
I've
always seen a little
Paul
twinkle in
Ryan?
Yeah.
I've
Do you
seen a
think
twinkle in his
we'll
eye.
switch parties?
I don't think
Yeah.
he'll switch. I think
I think
I think that he will come out and be a different Paul Ryan, but the Paul Ryan that we always kind of looked at and was like, you know what? I think he really does like us.
No, because you're gonna
He's not
need
as
to-
hardcore as
because
we
you're-
think.
Because
I've never thought that about
you
Paul
need
Ryan.
I don't know.
you're gonna need a level of, like I said, it's like NBA free agency. Like you're gonna need to find somebody who's willing to take
we need
that leap.
we need a boogie.
Yeah, who's willing to take the leap and say, okay.
What we don't need is a Dwight Howard.
No,
Jesus.
gosh, no, never that,
How about them Celtics?
never
All right.
that, never
All right,
that.
we're gonna wrap it up. We're gonna wrap it up, and we're gonna talk some hoops
Yeah,
because LeBron James in LA,
Wow.
Boston has got to be looking around right now saying it looks.
We ain't looking around.
It looks.
We know.
pretty clear, pretty nice, pretty nice.
We
here.
know because as long as y'all got Wall, baby, we know.
I mean the funny thing is like
The Wizards signed Dwight.
Wall's not the problem.
so.
Wall's
so
not the problem.
I'll point this out. I'll point this out on Facebook, and I'll point it out again to everybody who's listening to this podcast. People have to understand the amount of money it costs to have a team that plays deep and far into the playoffs is significant.
Mm-hmm.
There are very few teams in the modern NBA with broadcast rights being what they are, and with half-full arenas being what they are,
Mm-hmm.
and with the NBA being unable to like do anything during the regular season, who are able to actually function and sign players who are able to succeed at that level, like where the Lakers are now.
But we still think Golden State team
Golden
to beat
State's
out
taking
team to
it.
beat out of the West.
He's taking
Yeah.
it.
Boston, we're probably going to get a Golden State Boston
And I'm here
finals.
for all of that.
Michelle is here for your Boston Celtics.
Yeah, because
Well,
I'm
guys.
not here for the Washington Chicken Gizzards.
Oh, boy.
Wow.
Oh, boy.
I'm here for the Bullets if we change our name.
I'm here for the Bullets. And maybe next week we can talk about C-Web and some Fab Five. That's
That's your heart.
touching
That's
my
at your heart,
I,
man.
I,
touching
I
my
posted
heart.
that. He thought I was being mean when I
That's
posted
touching my
it.
heart.
Uh,
That
I
is touching
posted
my
that
heart.
video about Jalen Rose. He was like, Michelle. I was like, this what?
We'll talk. We'll get into this next week. I got a lot of thoughts, but that is DC TBD
Yes.
for this week.
It
Thank
was
you,
a pleasure.
Yeah.
Marcus,
Absolutely.
Michelle,
Hey.
DJ Mike. Thank you guys. Thank you.
Americana dipshittery, another week.
Americana
Yes.
Dipshittery. That's the name of our new show. Tune in next week.
We love y'all.
Yeah. Good night.
Peace.